Lord Mandelson leaked that information to Jeffrey Epstein when he was the business secretary under Gordon Brown at the end of the 2000s. The former PM and the Cabinet Office had submitted to the police material relating to those allegations. Joining us now is Professor of Criminal Law at the London School of Economics, Prof Horder, who's also written the book on misconduct in office. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Just tell us, when it comes to these kinds of potential allegations and charges, what the police will be looking into in particular?
Well, they'll be looking into the offence of misconduct in a public office, and that involves three main factors. First of all, the person in question must have been acting in a public capacity when they did whatever they did. So they were a minister or they were a council officer at the time. Secondly, they'll be looking at whether there was willful wrongdoing, whether the person, the public officer, did something they knew to be wrong, essentially. And thirdly, and this is really going to, I think, be the key element, if they did do something wrong and they did it knowingly, was that something that amounted to an abuse of the public's trust? And that's quite a high threshold. So it's not as simple as saying, oh, well, I leaked some confidential material to a friend because it was gossipy or something. I mean, that's wrong, but it might not amount to an abuse of the public's trust. There would need to be something more than that.
And interestingly, just sort of speaking about the procedure of all of this, currently this evidence is somewhere else. I mean, it's on servers in the States. Does that play a part in this?
Well, there may be issues about disclosure of evidence and whether it amounts to hearsay and so on. All of these technical but very important criminal matters will be considered. We can only really speculate on what the outcome of the evidence will be. And as I say, it's a high bar for prosecuting misconduct in a public office. It really is. But I think that you are getting close to that bar if there's any evidence of corruption. For example, if someone has sought to influence a private party for their own gain. So that would be significant.
Jeremy, as I said, you've written the book on this, and I think it goes back a long way, which begs the question: how common are these kinds of allegations, and for that high bar you talk about being surpassed?
The answer is that they're not common. And the reason for that is that most parliamentary wrongdoing is dealt with through parliamentary processes, through excluding members. And now, of course, we have the power sometimes to dissolve an election and hold it again in some circumstances. So there are lots of remedies around. And prosecuting someone for an offence with a maximum life penalty is not something to be taken lightly. Having said that, an example where the offence could easily have been used in recent times was in relation to some of the expense scandal abusers back in 2009-10. Now, as it happens, some MPs were convicted of false accounting and went to prison for that. But it could easily have been that they were charged with misconduct in a public office. So it can happen, even at the highest level.
I think you've answered my next question, which was, what is the penalty? I mean, prison is an option when it comes to allegations like this.
Well, it's not only an option, but I think in serious cases, you're looking at a presumption of a sentence of imprisonment of some kind. That has been the experience when we've seen it being prosecuted, this offence, which mostly it is in cases of prison officers and police officers who've behaved in a corrupt way, for example. That's a very common use of this offence. So in a serious case, yes, you'd be looking at imprisonment for a period of time.
Jeremy Horder, really appreciate hearing your insights and expertise on this. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Let's get more reaction.
That was really great.